splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your issue splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX.
J-Way.
I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me that.
To the trends. See you, Lee, be the band.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. We are back on the Sunday evening grind, and as the Tigers crawl and just squirm to the All-Star break, I reluctantly asked Coach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm pissed. I'm annoyed. We just let a team walk into our ballpark whose owner has openly admitted that he doesn't care about winning World Series. He just wants to be competitive, and we got curb stomped in 3 games with our best 3 starters, and this bullpen got absolutely annihilated, and Jake Rogers had to pitch Friday night. So that about sums it up.
Yeah. The last season, you probably remember this. We went to I went to the entire series, but we went to 2. We together went to 2 of the 3 Seattle games where we swept them. And obviously they were looking for some get back. And yeah, the last time Tarek Skubal lost was way back in April to Luis Castilla. And once again, he hands Mr. Skubal another loss heading into the All-Star break. This is a team that plays that struggles to get runs at home. They average, I think, less than 4 runs at home. But they tear the cover off the ball once they get into those road stadiums, and that's exactly what they did. This team, we know that they can pitch. They got a nice arsenal of pitchers from Kirby, Castilla. Who pitched today? What is his name? Gilbert. Yeah. So they had all the pitching in the world last year, and they just could not get enough offense. But even then, I thought to myself, okay, Cal Raleigh, who's having a great year this year. I mean, had a good year last year, great year last year, but it's on another planet this year as far as hitting home runs. But you got Julio Rodriguez, you got Rosarena, who they picked up at the All-Star break. You got Crawford, and you got a couple good young hitters as well. So this team is very talented. And we know for certain they're going to pitch, and it's pretty evident that on occasion they can hit as well. And that's exactly what they did. They even had a younger guy, Dominic Cazzone. He's a Italian guy. He was doing the DeVito, the Simone Fontecchio. But yeah, they let us have it all weekend. Cal Raleigh, he really didn't have a lot of hits this week, but anytime he made contact, if he didn't hit it out, he was hitting it. He was at threat of sending it somewhere to left field. But yeah, they let us have it. The bullpen is taxed. It's definitely going to be an opportunity for the bullpen to get some rest because they were worn out. They started off the week strong. They won the first 2 of 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays, but they are happy to see Seattle leave. But yeah, what did you see in regards to that Seattle series?
I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. Like you said, Cal Raleigh, not only, during his 3-homer night on Friday, tied and broke the franchise record for home runs in the first half of the season, breaking Ken Griffey's record, which I never would have imagined the name Cal Raleigh breaking Ken Griffey Jr. record would ever have not only been a thought in my mind, but words coming out of my mouth. But the bullpen is a big issue. I know we'll talk about it more later on too as well. But I mean, look, they brought a lot of the same guys back from last year, and they signed a couple guys. Braby didn't work out. They had to let Maeda go. And for a while, the back end was still pretty solid up until June. And then we had issues with the lefties. And then this last couple games, I mean, really no one was safe in this series at all. No one was spared any bad outing. Every single reliever that came in at one point or another was at least rocked once at minimum, if not twice. So there's some legitimate concerns for the big picture item in terms of the World Series, because let's not, you hit the panic. We're not going to smash the panic button. The division is still well in hand. There's no questioning that right now. Still got to kind of go out there in your divisional games and take care of business first and foremost. Just can't get intent. And I don't think these guys have that makeup to be like that. But bullpen needs some help, and Scott Harris has a lot of phone calls to be making here over the next week and a half.
Yeah, so as you can see from the visual, it was all smiles today as we were hoping to avoid the sweep. But yeah, we do have. Well, first and foremost, we are going into the All-Star break at 59-38, 11.5 games, I believe, up on Minnesota. As the Minnesota, Cleveland, and Kansas City have continued to fight for second place. But they've made some way. I think last time we talked, we were up 14 games, and that was just on Tuesday. So, the Tigers are on a 4-game losing skid, but they will be represented by 6 players: Casey Mize, McKinstry, Gleyber Torres, Javi Baez, Riley Green, and Tarek Skubal, as well as the bad boy who is being blocked by our heads right now, because a little less important than the players, but very cool that the fans were able to campaign and get the bad boy in. They said he's the best in the league, and I believe it. As far as the good for the week, because it wasn't all bad. Colt Keith had a pretty good week. He had the beard going for whatever reason. I thought he was going to keep the beard going, but he decided to shave it off. So I don't know. Somebody got in his ear about that to say, you know what, it's time to let that go. But McKinstry had a pretty good week, and Gleyber Torres will be taking a 25 game streak of reaching base into the All-Star break. He's done a great job at the top of the lineup of getting on base. He's got a 386 on base percentage, which I believe is 6th in the major leagues. He's definitely a well-deserved well-deserved All-Star berth for him. Because there was a lot of scrutiny going into the year about whether or not his hitting ability would be able to play in Comerica Park, because he did hit for a lot of power, and was probably the benefit of some of the hitter-friendly Yankee Stadium. But he has adjusted his swing. He's done a good job of he's one of the few players in the major leagues that has walked more than he's struck out this year, especially in this day and age where it's all about hitting the deep ball, and they'll deal with you striking out on occasion, a la Riley Green, who's just racks up those strikeouts. But nice to see that the old style of spraying the ball to all fields and getting on base. Let's see what the comments got here. M. Maxon, welcome. I don't think I've ever seen you before. He says, assuming the Tigers will be players in the trade market, will the Tigers start making acquisitions immediately or try to outbid other teams at the deadline? That's a good question, because I think we're both ready to see something get shaken up. I don't think I want to see Carlos Hernandez dragged out there anymore. And there's a number of other guys that have struggled, but I don't know. Scott Harris was very, I don't want to say he was aggressive, because he just did a bunch of selling last year. I don't know if that counts as aggressive, but he made 3-4 deals at the trade deadline but they were all pretty much towards the end of the towards right before the deadline. But Coach, what are your thoughts on us making acquisitions immediately or waiting and outbidding? We're not the outbid type, are we?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's dollar bills in there that he's just holding for a rainy day, because all we seem to see is pennies being doled out. Now I do know who this is. Hey, Mark, how you doing? I think it'd be in their better interest to make offers early, and if they're in the range roughly of what the partnering team is kind of looking for. I mean, yeah, they could wait potentially, especially if it's a common name out there. They're definitely going to wait because obviously the longer you wait, the more the price goes up, and try and squeeze everything you can out of these trades. But I don't see a reason why they shouldn't try and put some offers out there ahead of, the last 2 days or even 3 days before the deadline. I'm sure what will happen is he'll start making some calls, just kind of getting a pulse and a feel of what other GMs are thinking, what they're possibly considering, looking in at our prospects, and maybe it is a 1-for-1 or something like that. We got a bench player in a position that they need that could play regularly almost every day, and we could same thing for the guy coming back to us as well. So there's a lot to play out in that. It's just a matter of who they want to target. But I really don't think if they do make more than one trade, which ideally I think they'll need to, I think right now for me, 3, they're going to need 3 players, 2 arms and a right-handed power bat at third base. I don't see more than one top tier name being involved in either of those 3 coming back to us, just because of the price point probably, and also what Harris is willing to separate with in terms of prospects.
Absolutely. We're going to get to the first break. We're definitely going to retouch on the trade deadline. So just hold on for a second. All right, Coach. What roster moves do we have for this week?
We really don't have any official moves, surprisingly, after a really busy year up and down, especially last week. I think I had to take a couple inhales of breaths to get through it. But we do have some general injury updates of guys that have been on the IL. Unfortunately, Alex Lang on the 8th was pulled from his rehab assignment due to tightness in the right lat that he had surgery on. So that's not necessarily a great sign. Hoping it's just, a tweak or twang, whatever you want to call it. I would imagine they probably just shut him down through the All-Star break to let him rest. There's no sense pushing him to further injure that lat that he just had surgery on to begin with. More to come on that later from the team, probably after the All-Star break. On the 9th, Alex Cobb threw a bullpen session, but was still symptomatic, according to H.A. Hinch. No timetable for another session at this time. And then on the 11th, Kerry Carpenter resumed hitting and defensive drills and is in a running progression series. Same day, they announced that SGL threw a pen on Thursday. No update on that. And Jose Urquidy as well threw a pen yesterday. No update on that, but I'm assuming no news is good news in that regard, considering they did express some concern for Alex Lang. But that is it in terms of news and injuries.
All right, and transitioning right into the farm system, a lot to talk about per usual. Thayron Lorenzo hit a home run on Friday. Akil Baddoo hit 3 triples on Thursday. One thing that I'm noticing from Justin Henry Malloy is he seems to have lost his power. He's hitting for a high average. He's hit his average is 324. He had 5 RBIs on Saturday as well. But if you remember correctly, he had a little bit more power in his bat. I mean, at the major league level, he hit 9 home runs, but he's only hit 2 his entire. He spent the vast majority of his time in Toledo this year, and he's only managed to hit 2 home runs despite having a decent amount of power at at the major league level as well as at the AAA level last year. So, I mean, I definitely have seen an adjustment to his swing and him being more, catering more towards the contact side of things. But just something that I've noticed. The AAA team has pitched a couple gems over the last couple of days. I believe it was on Friday. Troy Melton went 5 2/3 and gave up 2 hits, but as a whole, I think it was a shutout between four different pitchers, including Troy Melton, Matt Manning, Bailey Horn, all of those guys, and they actually had a no hitter going through 7 innings. They ended up giving up 2 hits altogether, but that was a start today where Sawyer Gibson Long went 4 2/3 and didn't give up a single hit. So a lot of good pitching going down in AAA. And of course, we got to talk about the 3 representatives from the Rising Stars game. Max Clark went 1-for-1 with a walk and a stolen. No, with 1-for-1 with a hit and a walk and a stolen base. This was a stolen base where the pitcher didn't even get to throw off. He just took off, and before the pitcher made an attempt at second base and he wasn't able to get him out. Josue Briseño had a triple. He was inches away from it being a home run, but he was able to lug around to third base after nearly blowing a tire at second. But yeah, he nearly hit a home run in the game. And Kevin McGonigal actually went 0-for-2. You're not going to hear that very often. He stung a couple of pitches, but they were able to get him out. I was reading the 6 top moments from the 2025 All-Stars, and it said that Tiger slugger Josue Briseño hit some of the farthest balls in batting practice and homered 8 times in his round. Fred McGriff, acting as American League hitting coach, told Briseño's group they could get an extra swing if they hit a bomb. Each went deep shortly after, right on command. So very cool to get the
top house in right center field.
Yes. That is a long way, and he's only 20 years old. So, Troy in the building. Yo, what's up, guys?
What's up, Troy?
All right, it's been a minute since I've seen you.
Yeah, out of the woodwork now that we're in the race, halfway through.
Right. So not only do the Tigers have 6 representatives in the All-Star game, they got 3 representatives in the Rising Star, and Jose Briseño definitely opened some eyes in batting practice. So very cool to see. The fall off of Bo Brisky needs to be studied. I think him and Dylan Smith are both going on the 7-day injured list, but just to give you an idea of what of Brisky's last outing went, it went home run, walk, home run, line out, walk, wild pitch, walk. And then he left with an apparent injury. So,
that's injury.
I mean, things were riding pretty high early. Well, towards the tail end of last year, he was pitching high leverage towards the end of the bullpen. So, something has gone off the rails. So, hopefully, he can get back going. But I think that pretty much covers everything as far as the farm system goes. So my question to you is, what shall we do about, okay, I know Vierling is probably under 40. It is under about 40 plate appearances thus far.
You think he's got that many?
Yeah, I think going into the game today, he had 30. He had 36 or something like that. I think that his new walk-up music should be "Keep Rolling" because that's about all I saw him do. Yeah, "Keep Rolling" by Limp Bizkit. Because that's about all I saw him. That's all I've seen him do thus far is roll over to the left side of the infield. But yeah, I think it's only a matter of a matter of time before you do see Justin Henry Malloy get another, crack at the big leagues again. Because Vierling right now is only he's not playing third base. He's there. It's not like he's playing all these different roles at this point. And between him and Meadows, you got two nearly automatic outs. Meadows has been a little bit better. He's over 100 plate appearances, so he's a little further along in the game. AJ Hinch has already decided that he's going to give him every opportunity to get right. But yeah, I mean, I think that before we get to the end of the season, and you start putting together playoff rosters. Obviously, we're far away from that. I think that they need to exercise all avenues and see what they truly have, especially with the trade deadline coming up. But what are your thoughts on Vierling and Meadows thus far?
Well, I mean, Vierling is really his extended spring training right now, and Parker's kind of, like you said, 100 plate appearances in, and he's showing some patience. He's getting some hits, a walk here and there. I know he had a rare miscue in the outfield this week on a ball that was coming at him, so that was a little unusual. But I'm not going to focus on the error as much, just because it's uncommon of him, and we know he's going to bounce back defensively. There's no qualm there at all whatsoever in terms of his glove. But Vierling, on the other hand, I think it's also a combination of the fact that you brought in Gleyber Torres, and that's moved some things around, and Parker went down, and it forced Javi to play center field, a position he's never played before. So you've got some different dynamics happening that are now kind of blocking Vierling from added playing time from last year. Because I mean, as far as I'm aware, that was really the only addition they made, because Dingler was up halfway through the year last year and rode out as the number 2 catcher behind Rogers. Everyone else stayed the same. McKinstry, Carpenter, obviously, Perez kind of took over for Baду, who was the first kind of outfield guy off the bench. And then, obviously you still have Riley. So, but yeah, he'd be the odd one out, as if the regular season ended today and you're writing in playoff, a 25, 26 man roster for the playoffs. Vierling's not in it right now. Not really giving much offensively. And like you said, he's not playing as much defensive positions, or, the array of him that he did last year. I mean, he's still a good defender, I'd say a little above average. He's not a detriment. So at least he's got that for him, but it's not saying too much for a team right now that has had some weird, I don't want to say error problems, but their error timing has been fairly bad. And the fact that, he's not even really hitting with much power. So, there's plenty of guys out there that can play good defense with the glove, but they all, they struggle to hit. So, yeah, he's the odd one out right now, if that's your question. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you mentioned the miscue on Friday, but did you see the cross up between him and Riley Green in the gap, where it was a pretty routine play? I mean, they were both kind of converging on the ball, but it was a play that, I feel like sound mind Parker Meadows takes control and gets and calls Green off and makes the catch. So yeah, I think, I don't know, it's got to be something mentally, because you just don't. I mean, we've seen some struggles from Parker Meadows' bat numerous times last year, his rookie year, but rarely do we see more than one, mental error on the defensive side of things. So maybe it's something that can be fixed by him just being able to recalibrate and, come back well rested. He's from the Georgia area, so he may, partake in some in some baseball festivities, but maybe it'll be a good opportunity for him to kind of just get away and get back to things, because I mean, they played. I think Vierling and Meadows both played today, and right now you're just they're just 2 automatic outs at this point. But I almost forgot about the fact that Kerry Carpenter is on the IL. So when he comes back, he'll probably I think Jahmai Jones probably gets sent down. Maybe he's not really playing a whole lot. He's kind of been the left-handed, the lefty, left-handed pitcher specialist. I think he pinch hit for Cole Keith today. But he's not playing a whole lot of, he's not playing defense. He's pretty much just being, called upon to pinch hit. So it's, a pretty niche situation. I don't know if you take up an entire spot for that, because he's not able to hit against righties. So, but I know we know that AJ Hinch is willing to give Akil Baddoo a couple cracks, even if it's for a week or two, just to see what he's gonna, what he can bring to the table. And like I said, he hit 3 triples. When he gets hot, they tend to go to him, even if it's, like I said, not for a long period of time. And yeah, also, Malloy had some pretty big moments. He had that big hit when he was pitch hitting against Aroldis Chapman. So, the thing about the thing that worries me about Vierling, Meadows was on his rehab starts was hitting pretty good. He had a couple home runs. His OPS was like in the 800s, but Vierling had a nice little sample and was hitting like 208 down in AAA. He wasn't exactly showing the levels of a major league baseball player. So, some years are just not going to be your year. And I wonder if, this is just a year that he never gets it going. But I don't know. We'll see about it. I think.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Let me flip it back to you now on Baddoo. Now you mentioned Baddoo. Who are you cutting or sending down? Because remember, they outrighted released him. He's a minor league free agent player, so you'd have to cut someone or demote someone or trade someone to make room for him. I mean, unless you're going to say cut Vierling.
No, yeah. I mean, no. I don't want to go that far. Like I said, I mean, he was one of our constant players last year, but I don't know. It might be Jahmai Jones. I mean, he's had some moments, but I mean, I don't know if it's probably not worth. It's probably not worth risking him getting scooped up. But when it's all said and done, we have so many outfielders. It doesn't even. You got Ibanez down there. You got a lot of. And they just cut Manuel Margot, but you got a lot of options.
Sweeney to go down. I know he's a shortstop, but McKinstry.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. It could be, and I kind of forget about him because he hasn't been playing as much. Baez has been playing a lot of short. McKinstry has solidified himself as pretty much an everyday player. So yeah. I don't know if I'm ready to just, because when you say cut, you mean that other teams have the opportunity to pick him up?
Well, Vierling only signed a 1-year deal. I think he's of unrestricted status, I think. I mean, we're only paying him like $3 million and change this year. So it's not like you're on the hook for the last, 1.6, 1.5 by doing that. So, but that would be pretty much a permanent, decision, obviously, but it depends on what you think he brings that's better and more consistent. But is that the move there that's going to put him over the top? No, the trade will still be a better spot than swapping that 1-for-1 or whoever it is if they had to. I feel like if they had to buy his contract to bring up, someone's going on a 30, 60-day IL for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's certainly the move. Yeah, I think that they're going to hold on to Vierling, and I think that he could still be a valuable trade piece, combined with some mid-level prospect, because I mean, Vierling is a vet. He does have playoff experience. He can play a number of different positions. I think he will be a nice add-on, for a team that's looking for some depth in the outfield maybe, but yeah, I just need to see more. Obviously, he's going to get, because he didn't have much of a spring training and he's still trying to get his sea legs up under him. I think they are going to give him some more opportunities. But I think if you see, if he has another couple bad weeks, I think AJ Hinch can't afford to just have him, sitting around. Something's going to have to give there. But let's get to our second break, and then we will resume. Do we have any news around the major leagues?
Not terribly too much. I think it was more so some, trade speculations are heating up fairly quickly heading into the weekend here as we start the new week tomorrow and the All-Star break. I know there were some guys that we have been talking about for the last 2 shows or so. Guys like Dennis Santana has already been linked to Philly. And then the news that, I sent you the other day about, teams calling for J-Ram, Jose Ramirez, and Stephen Kwan of the Guardians, including Minnesota or even Kansas City are interested in these guys interdivision. And then today we're now linked to the 2 relievers for the Twins. I think Jackson Griffin, something like that. And then Johan Duran. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird. We literally just mentioned it last show. Interdivision trades don't happen very often at all for obvious reasons. But all of a sudden they're popping up like wildfires. But again, we take it with a grain of salt. But, I think Bregman for us right now is kind of just, it's going to be too pricey. But I see, you got it up there. Yeah, go ahead and take it away on the profile on that.
Yeah, so that was actually something that I was going to talk about in a little bit. But yeah, Griffin Jacks is one of the Twins' high leverage relievers. We'll get to the Duran one in a second, but yeah, I mean, nasty. 100 in the 100 percentile. Oh yeah, the fastball velocity.
The run value.
The run value is it's pretty bad, but it's obviously the breaking balls and the off speed where he makes his money. It looks like he uses sweeper 45% of the time. So yeah, he's really not using his fastball a lot. But yeah, look at the chase rate, look at the whiff rate, look at the K rate. Like, doesn't get any better than that. Which is exactly what we need. Somebody that can come in and just dominate. And he's got good control, despite the fact that he's making people chase all over the place. He also doesn't walk guys. So yeah, very impressive savant there from Mr. Griffin Jacks. But yeah, also Duran. And yeah, I don't know what's the likelihood or what it would take to grab these guys because they are within our division. But yeah, Duran's the closer, and yeah, another savant page is red as the devil's you know what, and yeah, just sheer dominance. When you look at the same thing, chase with K rate, you're not barreling anything up. He's a nasty ground ball pitcher as well, so it makes you wonder how anybody does anything against him. And this guy, I've witnessed in person a couple of times, and yeah, he's throwing well over 100 miles an hour. Look at that fastball velocity. The average is 100.3.
Dude, look at his split finger, 97.5 miles an hour. The splitter,
yeah,
that's disgusting.
Yeah, so pony up if you plan on getting those guys, especially if Detroit plans on doing that. But speaking on interdivisional people, we talked about how we could obtain Byron Buxton. He hit for the cycle. What was that, yesterday? I think it was Saturday.
I didn't even notice.
Yep, he hit for the cycle yesterday. And the guy on the Marlins today, Stowers. Are you familiar with?
Yeah, I saw that. He hit 3 bombs today too.
Yep.
Yeah. He's nasty. I did check on the contract for Griffin Jacks. He does have 2 more years of team control before he's unrestricted.
Okay.
After this year, so I think that'll probably be a price point hiker, if you will, just because cheap team control for 2 years, they're going to want some solid return back.
Yeah. What's have you looked at Duran's contract situation?
Yeah, let me take a look here.
And what other relievers I know we were trying to look up some relievers last week.
Aaron Bummer he's in the final year of an extension from Chicago.
Yeah, we saw Bummer. I think who was the Orioles guy who was
Bautista, Felix Bautista.
But yeah, Bautista, same thing, whiff rate, K rate in the 96th percentile. The Tigers just don't have guys like that. Now Bautista is very wild in the 1 percentile of walk rate, which is awful. But although he gets hit pretty hard, he keeps it on the ground, which is important.
Duran's got the same issue, or not same issue. Him and Jax have the same 2 years of team control. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But yeah, Felix Bautista's pitch mix. This guy is 6'8". Oh my God.
Oh, he's a big boy. He's big.
I mean, he's big. He's tall and big, though. That's crazy.
He's like a WWE wrestler big.
The Big Show right there. But yeah, his pitch mix is mostly sinker balls, which is evident by the ground ball rate. He's got a splitter as well, another pitch that's got downward break, and then he throws a slider as well. So the sinker works as his fastball, I guess, because there's no four-seam fastball even registered on here. So yeah, I like I don't like the fact that he's walking so many guys, but I like the mix of swing and miss with some with a lot of ground balls. So yeah, very, very interesting. I don't know what to make of the interest in Jax and Duran. That could be a nothing burger for all we know, but
and Lord help if you give up prospects, they come back to flourish, and now they're playing against you 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah, yeah. And when we look at I was kind of contemplating on some things. I was actually contemplating on Gleyber Torres and whether or not we should look to extend him. But you can't bank on those can't miss prospects. I mean, you look at a guy like Jace Young, he hit all the way through all the way through the all the way up the organization. He was a top prospect, got to the major leagues, played, decent in sparing sample size last year, made the team out of camp, was awful at the plate, and hasn't hit great at the AAA level. I think he's hitting like 230 right now. So who's to say if I won't say that he ever turns things around, but I don't see any window for him to get another opportunity. Malloy, another guy who knows. So yeah, it's you can't really worry about that. You have to put the most stock as you can in the guys that you have seen perform, and those examples are case in point as to why that's the case. Any other guys that we can pull up on the Savant while I got it up and it's working, because we were struggling last week. If you were around, we were struggling last week. Or any bats maybe?
Yeah, I think the only other reliever we had on there was Dennis Santana of the Pirates for Savant. Yeah. I had this guy on my radar like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Now this was actually I think you've had it. He's been on your radar since before he crashed out at Comerica in the bullpen.
Oh yeah, he still had a good series in Detroit. I mean, it's just that swing and miss was in real life.
Right, and after post suspension, but another guy that induces a lot of chase, not a lot of strikeouts, but he's got good command of his pitches, a lot of soft contact, and all of his pitches have high run value. So definitely a guy that will strengthen the back end of the bullpen. He's got 5 saves. He's got an ERA of 1.56, which is insane, especially considering his last couple seasons haven't been amazing. But on a very lowly Pittsburgh Pirates team, he has shined amongst them. But I feel like the market for hitters isn't that plentiful. I think they said that Naylor could possibly be on the move. Eugenio Suarez, I think did I say he had 2 home runs yesterday? He's been actually. I said it was once was to the pull field and one was to the opposite field, but no, he took one to straightaway center field. But yeah, he's hitting really, really well right now. That whole Diamondbacks team has been hitting this year.
They just got Corbin Carroll back too, right for the break.
Yeah, that's a fun team to watch. But the hot name that I've been seeing, he's on the Orioles. What is his name? He's a hitter on
Ryan
the Orioles.
O'Hearn.
O'Hearn, yes. I want to pull him up.
Yeah.
He's been a hot name. Let me see. How do you spell that? Huoh?
And they might count the apostrophe. It's O''Hearn.
There we go. Yeah, that apostrophe did come in. All right. He might have made the All-Star. Did he make the All-Star team? Maybe not.
No.
But yeah.
He started off slow, but he's been better the last 35 days, 40 days.
Yeah, and he's a first baseman, so not a high, position of need, and he's also a lefty. But yeah, pretty good defensively as well in the 93rd percentile as far as outs above average, and he's been spraying the ball to all fields and hitting it hard as well. So yeah, I think that if the Orioles continue to be horrible, they just got destroyed by the Marlins and Stores today, and that's crazy when you think about it. They traded Stores was an Oriole prospect, wasn't he?
I believe so. I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So for him to hit 3 home runs against his old team that traded him away
personal.
Look at that.
That was personal.
Drafted in 2019 by the Baltimore Orioles out of Stanford. Guy that strikes out a boatload and doesn't walk, but when he makes contact, he makes it count. So yeah, this says 19 home runs. I'm guessing this is before. That's before today. Definitely, it was definitely personal. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, it was arm strength. A nice arm there, 88th percentile.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think they traded him for a pitcher. I think they were trying to get stronger because the Orioles had a really strong farm team, so they had some guys to get rid of. I can't remember the other guy. Who's the other guy? Last name started with an N, but Norby. Yeah, Connor Norby or something like that. So yeah, they had a ton of prospects that were kind of blocked by the talent that they have, but now that's null and void because they are horrible. So, but yeah, that is our edition of Savant. We got the technology did us right today, but that's all she wrote on that tip. All right. So let's get to the last break, and then we will get into the weeds. All right. Any other numbers that you wanted to touch on as far as the Tigers are concerned?
Yeah. So we'll go in the weeds here, trending up and down. Up, I mean, pretty much all your all-stars plus Torkelson. Green, Colt had a big power week. McKinstry continues to be a professional hitter. Made that crazy throw in right field earlier in the Tampa series. Spin throw. I think you were at the game for that one. I thought maybe on Monday, if that was the night. Torkelson has hits in 13 of his last 16 games, but weirdly, his average only went up 6 points so far in July. But, whatever. He continues to get on base, score, driving some runs, every other game or every third game. So he's keeping them afloat kind of in the middle of the lineup when Green's having an off night. So that's still good to see. Base running from him, though, still lots to be desired from him out of the base running. But he's a first baseman, so you take that with a grain of salt. Down, Javi Baez not having a good July. Buck 54, no walks, only 6 strikeouts. We kind of noted his regression a little bit back in June, and then he kind of had a solid week near the back end of the month, and now he's kind of dropped off again. 269 slug, 423 OPS. 4 for 26 for today with only 1 home run, 3 RBIs and runs. And down as well is the bullpen as a whole, as we've discussed in length here. And the starters more recently, especially this series alone, Skubal, Mize, and Flaherty all giving up home runs in droves here, which is kind of funny considering Comerica Park is not the largest park in the majors, but it's certainly nowhere close to the smallest, and Seattle made it look tiny this weekend. Aside from that, some other first half numbers and kind of where the team sits in comparison to the rest of the major leagues here. They are 9th in team batting average and on base percentage, slugging OPS, they're 6th. Runs scored in RBIs, they're 6th. Doubles, 13th. Third, they're 2nd in triples. 9th in home runs, 14th in walks, and 24th in strikeouts, which we've well noted throughout the year. This team likes to swing aggressive early in counts, so they kind of fall behind early potentially if they don't find the pitch they're looking for. So they've had to be better hitters down 0-1, 1-2, 0-2, pitcher-friendly counts, essentially. And obviously they're still last and so on bases, but we did see some speed yesterday. McKinstry and Parker, and I think Vierling too stole a bag this week as well. So that's starting to trend in the right direction. That could be another reason why Vierling's still getting some extra looks, because when he gets on, he's still a threat to steal a bag. Pitching, they're 19th in quality starts. I think that also ties into the bullpen being taxed. These guys, other than Skubal, they need to start going 6+. That is a problem if they're, we mentioned offline too, like, okay, they're these are strikeout guys. Mize can be sometimes, but Flaherty and Skubal for sure. But they need to be more efficient in how they go about obtaining that strikeout and not constantly going to a 2-2, 3-2 count and going 5-6+ pitches and at bat to get a strikeout. Sure, you're getting the job done, but now you're leaving the other 4 innings and change to your bullpen that, Hinch has to mix and match. And boy, every decision he made this weekend was the wrong one, unfortunately. But, it starts with the starters. They got to go deep if they're going to be pitch efficiently. But 12th in home runs allowed and 11th in errors. So middle of the pack in those regards. So that's it in terms of the numbers. I don't know if there's anything in there you wanted to touch on that we hadn't already discussed.
Yeah, so I'm going to get to Troy's question. Do you guys see us keeping Torres after this year? He's going to get a bag. Yeah. He turned down an extension. I believe it was a multi-year extension with the Nationals, but part of that was due to the fact that they wanted him to move to third base. But it's up in the air. It's funny that you mentioned Torres because I was he had another base running blunder. I mean, it was kind of on Cora, I guess, because you got to know your personnel. You got to know that Torres, it was a first and third, but it wasn't like it was a gapper. It was the ball, stayed right in front of the outfielder. And I could just tell, Julio Rodriguez has a hose anyways, but, and it didn't help because Gleyber Torres was was watching the ball as opposed to running. But that's the one thing that's been a thorn in my side is just his lack of speed. But that's minimal. Like I said, he's been on base a lot. He's 25 straight games, reaching base at least once in the game. So that's just something you got to deal with when the guy's always on base, but he's also not that fast. But I'm pretty sold on it. I mean, he's found a way to adjust his game. He hit 38 home runs a long time ago. He was an all-star as a rookie. So, I mean, he had success early in his career, but he's found a way to be, effective without hitting the ball out of the park. He's been spraying the ball from gap to gap in, the spacious Comerica Park. And he's been cooking at the top of the lineup. I mean, he's set the table for Riley Green and Torkelson to have opportunities. And, he's 28 years old, so he's not old, but he's also not young. But I mean, he's got playoff experience. He's had success in the playoffs. He was a Yankee. So he's a guy that you have to take some consideration if you can come to if you can come to some type of agreement. Yes, we look at it and say, hey, Kevin McGonigal, he plays shortstop, but he's physically probably more of the build of a second baseman. So that would kind of block him. And we know that he's already in Erie and doesn't appear to be slowing down. So, I feel like you figure things out once you get to that point. But we'll see. We talked about it last week a little bit, but any other thoughts you have on Torres about, because you were pretty critical about whether or not it would be worth even bringing him in, especially with Cole Keith being our second baseman of the future at the time. That's also something to think about. What is the future position for Cole Keith as well? But go ahead.
That's nice. You read my mind, man. Get out of my head. No. This is why we do this, folks. All right. No, those are two good points. No, I mean, I'm not sold on re-signing him because, like you said, now you've got to solve another issue with Colt. And now we've seen some power surge recently with Colt, but let's be real. Gleyber, 9 home runs. He ain't coming close to 30 this year or 35. So throw that out the window. If both those guys can't consistently produce power, where's the power going to come from? Because Torkelson's got one more year, and if he continues to struggle. If he drops off after this year's performance, just saying if everything holds right now in terms of average for the end of the year, your entire infield suddenly does not have any power other than what Torque can bring every now and again. So now you're relying on your entire outfield. Well, Carey's been hurt each of the last 2 years. Parker's been hurt each of the last 2 years. Riley Green's been the only consistent outfielder you've had. And Perez has cooled off a bit. So, and obviously you're not really going to bank on him being a potential all-star outfielder as a bench player. So all that taken into consideration, no, I'm not offering Torres because he's going to get overpaid by someone else. And frankly, you have more mouths to feed that are younger, that are on this 26-man roster right now. Green's going to get a bag. Obviously, we've talked about Scooble to death about an extension. And some of these other guys will be coming off contracts too soon too. Zach's going to be an unrestricted free agent soon. I think that's a guy you absolutely need to keep. And I think he'll stay for a hometown bargain, if you will, to a degree. And, like you said, you got Colt for what, 4 or 5 more years on that 6-year fully guaranteed deal. And then you have to make a decision on Torkelson. So there's a lot of moving pieces to that. But right now, am I re-signing him to an extension? No, I have not seen enough to give him what I think the market will be friendly to him about, because I also have to keep the fact that, Illich is cheap and Harris is probably going to come in with a low ball offer. So I don't really take it as a legitimate potential for us to pull off. We can make an offer and see what happens, but they need more power though, period. And it's got to come from the infield, and Gleyber right now, in terms of home run production, does not have that.
And here's the biggest thing in the closing remarks about Torres. What it's going to come down to is that talk about, okay, are you willing to play other positions? if you're not willing to take over at third base, then we kind of really don't have much to talk about, because that's the major hole right now. I mean, unless you plan on making Cole Keith your third baseman for the foreseeable future, that's the same issue that the Yankees came across, is the fact that he refused to move from second to third, even though, now granted, he's been I don't think that the Savant page, the OAA, has been his best friend as far as making him look like an exception. Well, he's not an exceptional second baseman, but at least a respectable one. But he's been all right at second base from what I can see. But yeah, I think where you feel you value what Javi Baez has done. He got his bag, so he didn't really have to make the adjustments that he did. But where we value Javi, that he was able to move all over the place, center field, second base, shortstop, third base, Torres, should be held to the same standard, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it certainly would help if you're about winning and you want to be a part of the future and you want to be paid that way. I mean, I think that there has to be some wiggle room as far as that's concerned. But as we head into the All-Star break, personally, I want to see, for one, I want to see, I think it came at the right time in that, Mize and Scooble, who will be in the All-Star game, they don't have to, they can kind of wipe that away as if it never happened and move on and look forward to, a successful second half of the year, because they did have extremely strong, first halves. This will be a great opportunity for the bullpen to get some rest. And yeah, this is an opportunity for guys like Meadows and Vierling to, come back focused and ready to play, because, I think that they have to be, they just haven't done enough to be held to some standard of, well, no matter what, we're going to give them as many opportunities as we need. They've done this, they've done that. They just haven't done enough for that. So hopefully everybody can come back and hit the ground running. We have a lot to celebrate as a whole. 21 games over 500. A comfortable, respectable lead in the AL Central, and we need to be trying to build some momentum like we did last year. We saw what it was able to do for us, and yeah, this is a pivotal. These weeks in between the All-Star break and the trade deadline is very important as Scott Harris figures out what direction he wants to move in. But anything that you want to see, well, let's read this comment. We got to give coaches flowers. That was a great breakdown, Coach, and I agree. I think he walks. We got a stack system. They're gonna take someone's spot. That very well could happen. The only part that I say is we've been yearning for Scott Harris to spend money and put some bona fide major league players with real established accolades on the field, and that's kind of what Gleyber Torres. He's got MVP votes. He's got All-Star appearances. I think he won Rookie of the Year. Maybe. I mean, he made the All-Star game as a rookie. So I mean, this is a veteran, bona fide major league player. I mean, we're only a couple years removed from Zach Short and Andy Ibanez and Zach McKinstry. They were all on the roster at the same time. Those three super utility players were all on the roster at the same time. That was what we were picking through to decide, what lineup we want to make. And Akil Baddoo was probably in there too. So we had a lot of 4A players at that time. So got well, that's going back there a little bit, but yeah, we got to appreciate that we had some bona fide talent. And you talk about Scott Harris. Well, you said that it's more on the fact that Scott Harris is going to lowball him anyways. But eventually, we got to start putting some money into all-star caliber players. You see what the product looks like when we damn, I didn't mean to kick you off there. You see what the product looks like when you have some all-star caliber players. We had to pay big bucks for Baez too, and then of course Scooble, Green, and Mize are homegrown guys, which is important. But yeah, you gotta pay the cost. But what are you looking for as we get a little break off?
We'll be introduced some new blood into the home run derby. That'll be interesting. I always like that, and I wish they would air live the celebrity softball game, but they never do.
They used to.
Not the celebrity softball game. It was always on tape delay.
Okay.
Yeah, so they would do it like 10 o'clock at night. But so we'll see. It'll be interesting. I think the cool thing of School being named the starter, we kind of figured that was he actually was not going to be the first choice for the what's his face, the manager, because Max Fried, now with the Yankees, who's right there with Scooble and Crochet for AL Cy Young, the horse race right now this year, called him. And because remember, Max spent majority of his career in Atlanta just until last year, and All-Star games in Atlanta. So Scooble kind of thought maybe there would be some sentiment for him to start and for Max to get his flowers and bring in a World Series whatsoever, and all that stuff. So the fact that Max called him and said, "Hey, do you want to start? I'm gonna, I want you to go ahead and make that, decision for yourself. Doesn't matter what I was approached with. This is what I'm asking you. It's in my hands right now, and I'm asking you." So that was a cool moment between those two guys. Max has been in the game for a long time now, and Scooble, while he's had time in the minors and now the majors, that was a cool gesture. But coming to the trade deadline, I'd like to see two arms. I mean, we got to get two arms at some point, because it looks like the guys down that we've sent down that have struggled either hurt or haven't quite gotten it figured out yet. So, who knows? Maybe there's some appearance for Troy Melton. Who knows? But if there was one unexpected trade to go down and they get a name and a bat, and it does cost them some pieces versus, because the other option for Harris would be, well, maybe I got to trade Riley, and get an absolute haul for him before an extension if they're not going to pay him. But again, I'm not trying to go down that road. I'm just looking out really outside the box here. But if you were to land a bat and they got J-Ram and they had to give up 2 or 3, top 6, 7 prospects, that might be the way to do it. And then you'd say, all right, well, maybe then you look at, moving on from Gleiber at that point. You keep Colt. You got your power at third. You can keep Torque at for a cheap rate at first, but that's looking a bit beyond the scope. But two arms for sure. I don't know if they have the flexibility to get a bat too, but definitely two arms. That bullpen is bleeding, and they have Band-Aids, and they need stitches.
Oh yeah. Who on the other end of the All-Star break? Who are we playing?
All right, yeah. So we got a fun little 3-game, 2-series road trip out in Texas to start. So the boys in Atlanta will reconvene in Arlington for a weekend series, and then they travel immediately that after Sunday to Monday to Pittsburgh for 3 games against the Pirates and all that. Speculation of us trading for Skeens with Scooble and all that. No, throw that out the window. Although on paper it would make sense from a financial standpoint. It's not like Skeens is terrible or anything. Don't get us wrong. But I just don't see that being feasible. You're not improving your team. You're just improving the longevity of, we don't have to spend as much money right away. That's it. Yeah, and then after that, they come home for a 4-game series against the resurgent Toronto Blue Jays. That'll be a fun series. And then, boy, after that, it gets pretty challenging. So they're gonna have to hit the ground running here, come out focused, rested, and ready to attack.
And like Troy said, I want Suarez and Mason Miller. That would be amazing.
Mason Miller would be nasty. Yeah. Suarez, I want for sure. I think that makes the most sense. I think Bregman, honestly, is just going to be too expensive. You saw what Devers got in return, and now they're thinking, well, we could ship Johan Duran, their outfielders on potentially the block, but Bregman. If they did say Boston, if they couldn't resign him, that they would move him because they don't want to lose out because they know he's going to opt out. So that looks like that's going to happen. Either he gets signed to extension or he gets dealt. But I think he's too pricey. And obviously Suarez being a former Tiger and just frankly hitting better too.
Yeah, so we'll be back next Sunday. Obviously, they'll be on the break up until Friday, I think I saw.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so we won't have maybe we'll have some all-star talk to discuss, but we'll at least have a weekend series to speak on. But yeah, right now we got the 2025 MLB June amateur draft. Ethan Holiday actually fell down to the Colorado Rockies. Poor guy. Did his dad play for the Rockies?
That Holiday did, yeah.
Yes,
it was Colorado for years, and then St. Louis.
Yep. So yeah, the Tigers are actually going to be on the clock in a little bit. They just made the 15th pick, and we are 24th this year. It's nice to not have to, to not be picking so early. But we'll see if Mr. Harris goes high school again. That was heavily scrutinized early on. It's paying off real well with Max Clark and McGonigal. So I trust whatever direction he wants to go in, but yeah, so we know the MLB draft is a little different than the NFL draft. It's not like you're going to see them tomorrow or anything like that, but something to look into. Maybe we'll give you guys a little breakdown or a player profile for those guys. Troy says, "Cause guys, thanks for the stream, and I'm looking forward to more than an exciting season ahead." Yep, absolutely. Always to see you. Okay,
welcome back. Very good to see you again.
Appreciate you tuning in. But yeah. For everybody else tuning in order to be to get the opportunity to be an interactive viewer such as Troy, please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. You can find us on all audio aggregators at Corner to Copa, and we will be back next Sunday with some more Tigers coverage.
Enjoy the break, y'all.